This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com. Hello everyone and welcome to another Capes and Lunatics special. I might have to make this a regular thing because it seemed like I did a review with Ray from Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. We'll get there last month about some old X Factor issues. So maybe I'll have to, everyone write in and tell me, should I do once a month reviews with guests on comic books? But tonight we have someone from the Fighters podcast, so it's like 50-50 shot. So we got the one who reads. It's
I was
Dianne.
just going to say, you've got to get the one who reads, because Marnell, I finally got her to read the first volume of The Walking Dead.
If she should be reading anything, it should be Walking Dead.
Right?
She have a Walking Dead show. I mean, come on.
I actually was so shocked that she had never read any of the episodes of The Walking Dead. It was really funny, or any of the issues.
Yeah, and for anybody who listens to our show, Marnell is the one who joins us, along with Dianne sometimes, on our movie reviews, and you may know her better as
Phil's Comics Corner.
And the one who always has a gigantic glass of wine.
Yes, bigger than her head, yes. Not Lilith, the other one, yes.
Right. Lilith is more the hard liquor, right? It's not so much wine.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, we even got into this conversation on our 100th episode. Yeah, the hard liquor, no brown stuff. I don't know, she has rules.
She's pretty picky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Marnell's not picky.
It's usually gotta be wine, though, right?
She's good with the other stuff. She'd be fine if she and Lilith got together. I'm sure they would drink us both under the table.
Oh, definitely.
Several times.
Definitely. I'd love to see which one of those can outlast the other one.
Oh, it might be worth staying sober just to take bets on it.
Oh, yeah. Write in if you want to see that live on air.
Yeah. And Phil and I will chip in for the wine and the vodka. We will.
I don't think I make that much. Those we can drink.
I've got a little bit of a savings squirreled away, so I might be able to manage it.
Again, it's those two. I don't know. You better have a lot to say. Anyway, no, we're not here to talk about our co-host drinking problems. This whole thing started, I think, when Ross Marquand did The Walking Dead, which is, one of your favorite shows, The Walking Dead, which you podcast about. When he dropped a comment, a couple months ago, that he would love to be Moon Knight in either a movie or a TV show.
So it's not anything that is necessarily in the works. He just kind of made that comment.
Yeah, I mean, people keep saying, "Oh, there should be Moon Knight stuff." There should, like when they were doing the Netflix stuff, they're like, "Oh, there should be a Moon Knight show," or But yeah, I've heard no confirmed anything. But with Disney Plus coming, they keep announcing new series. They're doing a Loki series. They're doing a Winter Soldier and Falcon show. They're doing a Hawkeye thing. So,
are you going to give in and spend the money for the streaming service?
I think so, because I'm probably, once Jessica Jones the final season drops, I might drop Netflix and just just do the Disney Plus and the DC app. But I mean, I think Disney Plus is worth it because it says it's gonna be $6.99 a month, but it's like all the Marvel stuff, including all the movies, Star Wars. I mean, I have a 6-year-old. They're gonna have all those Disney movies on there. And I think Pixar movies, all 30 seasons of The Simpsons, because they just bought all that Fox stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, you're gonna get your money's worth.
That's worth $7 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, I have sworn that I'm not going to buy any more streaming services, but that's worth $7 a month.
And like I said, they've already announced like 3 or 4 like original Marvel shows for that thing. So.
Well, bring it, Ross Marquand and Moon Knight. I'm down with it.
Yeah,
but only if they do the Charlie Huston Moon Knight.
Yes, because he made that comment, and I asked you if you saw that, and you're like, "Who's Moon Knight?"
Mm-hmm. And I have read the first volume that Charlie Huston was involved with, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. And then I actually kind of diverged and looked at a couple of other, I don't know if they must have been older volumes, because it looks like this was the most recent.
Okay.
Or the second to most recent reboot of Moon Knight. And I didn't like them quite as much. I think this is a really, really phenomenal telling of this character.
Oh yeah, this is a lot of people's favorites, and I mean, it's a very realistic take, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, this was from 2006, and, you know, what I was gonna say, I mean, I know you read Walking Dead, but you don't read, like, a lot of other comics, correct?
So I read a lot of comics when I was a teenager. I was really heavily into X-Men, X-Factor, Justice League, but it's been years. I mean, we're talking like, oh my God, 25 years, almost 30 years. So The Walking Dead is the only thing that I read faithfully right now.
Well,
I read a bunch of Captain Marvel stuff based on your recommendation, you know? It's just, there's a new local comic shop opening up, so who knows, I may get back into it.
Oh, I like that. I like hearing that. Then when new comic shops open up, because half the time it just seems like you hear stores closing and stuff.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, you wouldn't think that there would be much of a market in the middle of Alaska, but they're going to give it a go.
I just hope they don't go the way of, like, Blockbusters, because I love going to the store. I love my paper copies.
Well, you know, here I am with my Moon Knight on my Kindle, and I'm like, God, I wish I had a piece of paper in front of me, because it would be so much easier to flip to the panels that I really, really like, because there were some panels that I definitely was like, oh my God, this is just a perfect moment in this comic. So.
Oh yeah. But, yeah, this is from 2006, and like the whole story was like Mark Spector had been out of action for a while, and they explained why. And it worked because this was 2006, and before this, I don't think there had been a Moon Knight series since like the end of the 90s, so I
wrote down a few things, and it looks like 1989 Mark Spector and Moon Knight. I think that might have been...
That was the last ongoing series. I think it ended in 94, and then they did like 2 like mini-series, I think, between that and this.
It looks like... Okay, so the most recent incarnation was not Moon Knight itself. It was in Marvel Legacy, and it was issues 188 through 200.
That was the last one, yeah.
Yeah, written by Max Bemis and illustrated by Jason Burrows. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think the stuff that I was looking at before was the Jeff Lemire stuff.
Yes.
And I didn't like that as much as I liked this.
That was between this and the Max Bemis stuff, yeah.
So one of the first things that I wikied Moon Knight because I was kind of trying to see where all of this fell in Moon Knight. Mm-hmm. And one of the first things that I read was that Bill Sienkiewicz was one of the main artists who kind of got Moon Knight up and going.
Yeah, back in the 80s, yeah.
Back in the 80s. And there was a lot of conversation around him kind of cementing Moon Knight as like a poor man's Dark Knight.
Yes.
And I've got to say, I did not find this derivative. I thought this really stood very well on its own, but I haven't looked at the Bill Sienkiewicz stuff, so...
Well, yeah, and some of that earlier stuff, you can almost tell, like, they're, like, that 80s stuff and, like, that Mark Spector series, they were kind of trying to paint him as almost like Marvel's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, they've really, like, taken him in a different direction, like, in the modern take, just because he used to have all these, like, secret identities, like the millionaire and the cab driver, but now there are like actual like multiple personalities in his head. So
super interesting.
Yeah, especially in the Bemis run, or was that the Bemis run? Yeah. The other personalities find out the cab driver Jake Lockley had a child with their girlfriend Marlene. The rest of them didn't know that.
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, so they really dug into that, because I think they said like back in the Sienkiewicz days they were just like, yeah, they were never meant to be multiple personalities, but someone decided to go that route, and
it makes so much more sense.
Oh yeah,
you know? And it makes sense just in terms of how fractured this character is, or at least the way that he's portrayed in this particular reboot of the character.
Because I think even from like day one, some people were just like, is he crazy? Because he's like, oh, you know, I died and this Egyptian god brought me back to life. And people are like, okay, an Egyptian god, sure.
So the first question I have for you, not the first question, but I definitely got this written down in my notes. Do you think Khonshu is really a god, or do you think he's like an interdimensional or intergalactic thing, or what do you think?
I mean, that's like a big question they bring up in Marvel all the time. Like, there was even like a run in Thor in the 90s where like someone was even saying, oh yeah, these Asgardians even are just, they're all like aliens, but some of them came to Earth 1,000 years ago and people worship them as gods. So, people just start calling them, gods.
So there's no solid answer about Khonshu.
No.
So I thought it was pretty well versed in Egyptian mythology. It's actually something that I've been interested in off and on throughout my life. I had never heard of Khonshu, so I looked him up. He is in fact the Egyptian god of vengeance. Where did I write this down? He is actually the Egyptian god of the moon. His name means traveler, and his parents were Amun, the sun god, and Mut, the Egyptian mother goddess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really interesting take on the mythology. I like that a lot too, and I like that they kind of pulled that together.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember if it was Lemire's run or somebody else. Oh, no, it might have been Warren Ellis's run where, like, Khonshu basically charges him with, like, it's funny you said Traveler. It just reminded me that, like, he basically charged Moon Knight with, like, protecting people at night, the travelers in the night or whatever. And Moon Knight was running around in a version of his costume, but it was like it was an all white, like 3-piece suit with just the mask and stuff. And
I like this version of the costume. This is a cool version.
This is like the pretty much the classic version. Yeah, I like.
Is it?
My favorite.
Yeah, I mean the other stuff that I read that was not the Charlie Huston stuff had a very similar costume.
Yeah.
Again, I just didn't like the art nearly as much. This art is so vivid, and the colors are really good.
Oh yeah,
it's just incredibly well executed.
And like the pencils are by David Finch. He did like a run on Batman, of course. So yeah,
So I can see again why people are kind of like, oh, it's derivative of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can see the resemblance, but I think this character really stands on his own.
Yeah, and I mean the origin's different, and I just think, like I said, back in the 80s, they played him as a millionaire playboy, so and his headquarters was under his house, so people were like, okay.
I actually think he's a lot darker than the Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you think? He cut a guy's face off.
Yeah, which was awesome.
I knew you'd love that. You Walking Dead people, I knew you'd love that.
What's a little bit more gore, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, not even just the guy. It was like the guy, the guy portrayed him, and that's the guy who killed him, but they were like buddies for years, and then
I did have a little bit of trouble kind of teasing out. I actually thought that the Taskmaster was like a reboot of Bushman. So I kind of, on the first read, had a little bit of trouble teasing that out. And then on the second read, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a Marvel character. I don't know if like did they explain it in this arc, but like he has like it's not a photographic memory. It's like a physical, he can see someone do something physically once and he can do it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
No, they didn't really go into that in this.
Yeah, because that's why he's like, if he watches Captain America or Spider-Man fight, he can fight like Captain America or Spider-Man with their style.
Which would explain why he looks so much like Moon Knight in this incarnation of him in this book.
And that's why was he carrying a shield here? That's a lot of times he'll be carrying a shield. Because he can throw it around like Captain America, so.
Okay. So, another question I have for you is about the profile.
Yes.
So is he a mutant?
I believe I'm trying to remember if they ever confirmed that. I'm pretty sure because he was talking to his quote unquote girlfriend and she said something about mutants being oh, I hate mutants, and he was like, yeah, it could have fooled me. Yeah,
I saw that too, and that was what made me think that he must have been a mutant.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I like the way that they portrayed his powers in the art in this, where they kind of show the writing over all of these people and kind of how he's profiled them and what he's seen in them. Yeah. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, this was like his first appearance in this arc, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so I also really liked that they used him to tell the story.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the origin story and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really nice exposition of the character.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a pretty handy way of getting that information out there in a very succinct way.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, Charlie Huston, like, I wasn't familiar with him before this arc, and I keep meaning, he writes novels, too. I keep meaning to read some of his stuff, and I never have. Because I even looked him up on Wikipedia. He's an American author of crime novels and superhero comics, though.
I'm dying for something good to read. I may have to check him out.
So, yeah, just check out his bibliography. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like he has maybe like 10 or 12 books maybe on there. So
I've got to be honest, I'm kind of hit or miss about reading the letters sections at the end of comics. But I read all of the letters sections with this, and his responses with the first issue just made his love of this character so plain. I mean, you could really tell why he was invested in getting Moon Knight up and running and why he's doing the book. I really enjoyed that a lot. Yeah,
I love when, like, you tell, like, the writers are passionate about it and are like, oh, I've been reading this since I was a kid and I can't believe I'm here now, writing this stuff.
Yeah, it was a great letters section, and I would really encourage people that if they're picking this up for the first time to take the extra time to read those. They were a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And then Moon Knight mentioned Hawkeye in the first issue. Like, yeah, he was part of the West Coast Avengers for a while, so technically he was an Avenger, like late 80s, early 90s.
I would actually love to see the chemistry between him and Hawkeye, because it sounds like it was not good.
It was, just like, like I said, it was like Hawkeye and all them were just like, oh yeah, Khonshu, Egyptian god, sure. And I'm like, okay, in the real world I could get that, but like, it's like Hawkeye. It's like, you've worked with Thor. You can't believe in like an Egyptian god.
Right. Good point. One of the things that I really loved was the opening of issue 1, the fun stuff where he is talking about all of the different superheroes being like, you have this problem, you call Spider-Man. You have this problem, you call the Fantastic Four. But I get to do the fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Because, the Avengers and Fantastic Four, this is too small for them. Spider-Man fights all the mad scientists and animals and stuff, yeah.
He's almost like a Defender. I mean, he's almost kind of a Hell's Kitchen level character.
Well, that's why I thought a lot of people were saying, when they were doing the Netflix stuff, he should have been part of that Netflix stuff.
I wonder if Disney will pick him up. I hope they do.
Maybe. Well, I even heard something today. It's like, I guess the Disney Plus is going to be like all the like PG and PG-13 stuff. I guess they said for like the mature stuff, like the Defenders was. I guess they might be going to Hulu for that stuff.
Oh, you mean I have to buy another streaming
service? I know, you're telling me. You're telling me. But yeah, it sounded like, for like the, TVMA or any of that stuff, they're going to go to Hulu.
Oh, totally diverging from Moon Knight for a minute, but I've got to get this out there. So, speaking of MA stuff, have you watched Black Summer at all on Netflix?
I saw you raving about it, but no, I haven't.
Oh, do it. So, not to steal Moon Knight's thunder, we'll get back to him in a second, but Marn and I are going to actually podcast about the first episode in the series next week. So it was that good.
Yeah, no, I was behind on stuff. I just finished The Punisher this weekend. Like, we were taking a car trip and I wasn't driving, so I just like downloaded the final couple episodes of Punisher I needed to watch. I was watching Punisher.
I've been so bad about the Defender stuff. I loved the first series of Jessica Jones, the first season of that, and I just haven't been able to get into it for the second. And I've been kind of hit or miss about Daredevil and hit or miss about Luke Cage. I'm probably part of the reason that they failed.
No, I just think it's the deal that went through and they're moving stuff around, and I think they're the thing with Netflix and Disney, I don't know, they were just like, well, we're gonna make a better deal somewhere else, or
Disney is taking over the world, man.
Oh, but you have to watch Daredevil season 3. It's so good.
Okay, I've got to get through seasons 1 and 2.
Oh, your boy John Barenthal's in Daredevil season 2.
I know.
That's where the Punisher first appears.
I've got to totally watch the Punisher because
both of those seasons are good. Yeah.
But back to Moon Knight. So there was a moment in there. I mean, there were a couple of frames that I really liked. Of course, I loved where he rips off Bushman's face. But
Yeah.
right before that, and this is in chapter 2, this is in Fear More Than God, there's actually a panel where you see the face, the boots, and the moon disc all kind of lined up in the panels as Bushman is coming toward him.
Yes.
And I loved that series of panels. It was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm flipping through a Kindle, so I'm having a hard time getting to it.
But I mean, that's what I love about comics. It's like, you know, the art can make or break it. I mean, you could take a good story, and with great art, you can elevate it even that much more.
Well, and at the end of the first issue, you know, they show, and I'm going to hold up my Kindle here, which people can't see, but they show Mark sitting in his wheelchair in front of Khonshu, and then you just go through the panels after that, and it just kind of shows his decline, and it shows the Vicodin, the pills falling from his hands, and they really told his story without any words.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I really have enjoyed about this volume is that they just do this phenomenal job of telling you the story with pictures.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like that 2-page spread in the, you know, beginning of issue 1. That's like one of my favorite Moon Knight like images of all time, just him diving out of the moon copter.
Man, and you know, I know I keep repeating myself, but the art is just so good.
So I said David Finch. Yeah, I loved his stuff on Batman, and I'm trying to remember where else I see it. But yeah, he always does good work.
Here's that panel I was talking about. I don't know if you could see it.
Oh yes, yeah,
yeah. I love that. Another thing that I noticed, and this is back in issue 1 when he's talking about his church, his friends, his love, and he's kind of showing his relationship with Marlene. Do you notice that the windows in that look like church windows?
Yes.
Which I just thought was really cool.
Oh man, I don't know if it's on. I don't know if they have them digitally or not, but you need to read some of that Mark Spector Moon Knight stuff from the 90s. There was like 60 issues of that.
Okay.
But like one of his opponents is like stained glass Scarlet. She's like dresses like all in red. She almost dresses like a nun, but she's like a female Punisher almost. Like,
oh wow,
like killing criminals and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, definitely high on my list is the next couple of volumes in this run, because I like this so much.
Oh yeah,
I wanted to try to get through this again before we talked about it, just so I kind of had it cemented in my head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is just the first 6 issues. I think Charlie Huston wrote through issue 13, I think.
I think that's what I read.
So the next trade would probably cover it, and then I think like the arc or 2 after that, even he helped with, even just with the plots. So, yeah. He loved Moon Knight. He didn't want to let go.
What was that?
He must love it. He said he loved Moon Knight, and I guess he did because he didn't want to let go.
Yeah. Some other stuff that I really like. There is a scene in which volume is it? It's in one of the later volumes. I can't remember which one it is. Oh, so in chapter 5, Friendless and Alone, there's a really cool scene of him all bandaged up, pulling on his knee brace.
Oh yeah.
And I really thought that the way that they showed him so vulnerable was great.
Mm-hmm.
Because you almost never see your heroes like that.
Oh yeah, and before it was just like, oh, I can't walk. But yeah, the minute he has that mission, he's just like, forget the pain. Oh yeah, another big splash page when he gets dressed in the costume.
Right.
Oh, that is so great too. When he's like driving the plane like right into the headquarters.
And the way it gets kind of stuck. I love that. The way it gets stuck in the side of the building.
Just Khonshu, announce me.
There was also another small panel, and I want to say that it was in chapter 3, To the Bone, when we first meet Jean-Paul. Mm-hmm. And it's him and Jean-Paul standing there talking with each other, and he's standing there with his cane, and Jean-Paul is standing there with his fake legs on. And again, it was just one of that moments of vulnerability that you don't often see in your superheroes.
Yeah, the old mercenaries. Yeah. But yeah, this group that's like, sends Taskmaster after him and stuff, like they were there from like his first appearance because he first appeared in Werewolf by Night 33.
Like in the 70s, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and like, they kind of brought Moon Knight in as like a villain to fight this werewolf. But so when they decided they wanted to give him his own series, they had the retcon it. They're like, oh yeah, he was undercover. He was trying to bring these guys down, so that's why he was like doing their bidding and stuff.
And it sounds like this incarnation of the committee is actually the kids of the original committee that went after him.
Mm-hmm. So I think eventually he did take the original ones down. But yeah, so I like that there's like the passage of time, because you don't get that a lot in like the mainstream comics. Right.
They seem like they're kind of stuck forever in, this is the portrayal of Aquaman and this is how you're going to see Aquaman, and there's no change and
all these characters are forever 29 years old.
Yeah. No progression, no aging. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So another character that I really loved, and we haven't talked about him, was Mr. Crowley.
Yes, Crowley, yes.
Yeah. He was great.
But yeah, back in like the 80s stuff, like remember the tea bag? He was always about, oh yeah, can I get a cup of tea? Warm water. Okay. He always had that tea bag, yeah.
So, he totally made me think of Keith Richards.
Oh yeah, he was like a homeless guy who like helped them with gather information and stuff. Because that was his network back in the day, was Crawley, and he even had he was friends with Gina, who owned like a neighborhood diner, and like her 2 teenage sons would help.
I read some of that. So some of the stuff that I read was actually, it included them in the arc.
Yeah, and I would bring them back eventually. Yeah,
I remember, and I can't remember. It's not part of Charlie Huston stuff, but I remember the city getting buried under sand.
Yes. Was that the Lemire stuff? I think.
I think it must have been the Lemire stuff. It looked like that was the art that I remember.
Yeah.
And that art was a little more spare. Mm-hmm. It was much more angular, and I didn't feel like it was fleshed out or colored nearly as nicely as this.
Yeah, there was like some of the later runs were pretty good. Like there's a Vengeance of the Moon Knight series, which was good. Trying to remember them all. Oh, there was a very controversial one if you'd want to read it. It's Moon Knight by Brian Michael Bendis.
So, okay, you've got to tell me the Bendis thing, because it always makes me think of Charlie the Professor Esser, and I don't know what the joke is.
Bendis.
Yes.
Well, for the most part, I mean, at least on my end, it's like, I like Bendis's earlier works, and like when he stays street level, like he wrote Ultimate Spider-Man, and he created Jessica Jones, of course. So, I mean, that stuff's good, but it's like once he starts up in the power levels, sometimes his writing gets a little like Avengers, X-Men. Now he's writing Superman at DC, but he's writing Young Justice at DC, and that's pretty good. So I mean, his controversial Moon Knight run is like he took the 3 multiple personalities, and instead of it being like the millionaire and the cab driver, and sometimes it's Mark Spector, sometimes it's Khonshu, but instead of those 3, like he replaced them where it was like Wolverine, Captain America, and Spider-Man talking in his head.
That's kind of lame.
It was weird. I mean, it worked for the first issue because before they revealed it, like you just saw that him talking to them, and you're thinking, okay, so he's palling around with these guys, and then at the end of the first issue, they revealed they're in his head. But after that, it was just weird.
I may have to look at it just because I'm interested in the character, and I'm actually even interested in looking at going back and looking at some of the early werewolf stuff.
Yeah, the Bendis stuff was only 12 issues, so it's probably either 1 or 2 trades. I remember the ad for it. It was like all the Avengers you ever need, because there's a bunch of Avengers in his head.
So what got you into Moon Knight? How did you find him?
It's very funny because I saw this series coming out. This was like the first thing I picked up of Moon Knight, but then I went back and like bought a lot of the older stuff. Like I bought that whole, well, I'm missing 1 or 2 issues, but I have pretty much that whole Mark Spector Moon Knight series, and I have some of the earlier stuff. But yeah, this pretty much started me off.
I mean, I can totally see it. I don't spend a lot of money on comic books. Like I said, I pretty much just spend it on The Walking Dead at this point, but I'm definitely going to invest in the next volumes of this.
And then, there was this amazing Spider-Man storyline from the 90s, which was good. Round Robin, the Sidekick's Revenge. But it was Spider-Man. It was 6 issues. Spider-Man, Moon Knight, the Punisher. There was a character, Night Thrasher from New Warriors. But yeah, it was like a lot of characters. But yeah, it was like Spider-Man, Moon Knight, Punisher.
It seemed a little too hardcore for Spider-Man.
Well, that's the thing. Anytime, Spider-Man's like, no killing. I mean, they kind of toned Moon Knight down, and during that time, he wasn't like as violent as he is here. But yeah, the Punisher, he's always like, no killing. So you enjoyed everything about this story. Was there anything that was like confusing just because you aren't like a big comic reader of like the modern stuff?
I actually thought that they laid his story out pretty well. I would have liked a better understanding of how the conflict between him and Bushman evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just kind of glossed over there was some conflict around Marlene, and then you didn't really get a lot of the story about why they turned against each other. So I would have liked more about that.
I think it was basically just like, they like Marlene and her father were like excavating at this, Egyptian temple, and Bushman was just like, well, let's just kill them and steal everything and, burn the place down. And pretty face. Mark was like, no, that's not that. So Bushman left him for dead at that statue, Khonshu, and supposedly Khonshu brought him back to life.
And did he and Marlene end up together at the end of this? I didn't get to the end of it last night again.
Not right away, because he goes to see her at the end of this arc, and she's like, well, yeah, just because you're back doesn't mean we're together.
Okay.
Like eventually they're kind of like off and on, and then like I said in the last run, which was the Bemis run, they all find out they had a kid her and one of the multiple personalities had like a kid together.
That's got to be a little challenging, being the girlfriend of all of these different personalities.
Yeah, because it was her and the cab driver, and it's very weird because back in the 80s, like she'd call him one name, and he's like, no, that's not me, even though that wasn't when they really had the multiple personalities.
So you got to wonder. So Mark Spector is obviously the dominant personality. So
yeah, he's basically the original. Yeah.
So she was just hanging on to him and kind of surviving through the other personalities, it sounds like.
Yeah. But yeah, they go deeper in future arcs too, and I think they might have done some in the past in the 80s too. But yeah, did you see the part where they were talking to like his father was a rabbi and they never got along?
Yes. And so, do they take that storyline further in this particular arc?
I don't think it's the Charlie Huston stuff. It's like further down. I think Bemis did a little bit with it. There might have been something before that. Like I said, I think there might have been an issue or so in the 80s where they addressed it.
It sounds like that is a big part of his conflict as a person, and maybe what caused his personalities to fragment in the first place.
Oh yeah, part of it. And then in the Bemis run, they showed there was like a rabbi at their temple who was like, I'm trying to remember, what was he? He was almost like a Nazi war criminal in hiding or something,
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
So I was reading about Bemis, and they were saying that one of the reasons that he really explored the multiple personalities is that he has a personal history of mental illness.
Yes, yeah. Because that was even the thing. Yeah, he talked about his mental illness, and I think they said like his last few issues, he barely got him out because he's like, I don't know if he was suffering. He had a nervous breakdown coming on or something. But he was like, yeah, there's days in bed I was like, I almost couldn't get out of bed and stuff. And
that's pretty profound to think of someone who is that successful and kind of putting himself out there, having that. That's pretty profound.
Oh yeah. Plus, I think he has a band too. What is it? Does it say anything? I don't know if they're actually doing anything right now, but yeah.
Well, bravo for him for being honest about it. At least it makes us talk about stuff like that more. Did you feel like his portrayal of the mental illness in the character was more realistic? I'm
probably not as familiar with him, but yeah, a lot of it rang true. But then, some of the stuff like Charlie Huston and Jeff Lemire did I didn't have a problem with that either. So
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like his issues with addiction and with being kind of broken down in this this volume that I've read anyway is really true. I mean, it really rings very true.
But I mean, they've been doing that in Marvel for a while, because like even the Hulk now, there's like different Hulks in Bruce Banner's head. He's basically has multiple personalities also.
That's interesting.
Oh yeah. My favorite, the Gray Hulk, who like back in the late 80s was like, I keep talking about this, gotta cover this with somebody. In the late 80s, I don't know if you ever read this, the Gray Hulk found the way to suppress Bruce Banner and not change back into him for like 3 months, and he got a job. No. He got a job as like a leg breaker in Las Vegas. So like the story was the complete opposite of like any other Hulk story, because for the first time the Hulk had a life and he was worried about Bruce Banner coming out and ruining his life.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking back at my notes. Of course, I took notes in each chapter, so... some of the stuff that I really like too, and this is from chapter 4, which was Interest in a Mirror. Mm-hmm. I really like the way that they flipped back and forth between realities. There was really a lot of good movement back and forth between what he was seeing and what was actually going on.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this was also like the first. This is where Frenchie like came out.
Right, and I thought that was actually pretty brave. You know, that's not something that a lot of comics were taking on. You know.
Oh yeah, no. Especially again, this is a character who'd been around for like at this point probably at least 20 years, and they're like, yeah. It's almost like his... Well, I mean, he does have a butler, but I was going to say Frenchie's almost like his cross between his Alfred and his Robin.
Right. So another thing that I really liked was that we really came full circle in this volume. So it goes back to him talking about the fun stuff and saying, how could I live any other way? Mm-hmm. So that even if you were just going to read one thing about Moon Knight, I feel like they brought this back full circle and made it pretty complete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm trying to remember. I think it's like towards the end of Huston's run. It's like around issue 12 or 13. It was around like the original Civil War, and like the heroes had to register and stuff, and basically Moon Knight and like Khonshu basically like blackmailed the guy who was giving out registrations and stuff. He got registered, and then he's like being all brutal and violent. And Iron Man's like, "Well, who gave this guy a license?"
He really is. You know, he does have that same edge that the Punisher does.
Oh yeah, basically, starting with this series, they amped it up. Yeah, he's been a lot more violent since 2006. It's like I said, they tried to in the 90s and stuff, the 80s even. They tried to play him like Batman, but I guess they were like, this isn't Batman.
No, definitely not.
No. But, I mean, either way, I just think, like, you know, whether they play him like Batman or not, Marvel could do, like, a good job. Especially with some of those DC movies, they could be like, this is all you do a Batman movie or TV show.
You know, Marvel just does it so much better. And I know that I missed the Aquaman podcast. It's just so disappointing to see really great characters not getting served well on the screen. And I think that this character could be really well served. And thank God he's in the Marvel universe and not the DC universe. Sorry, Lilith.
Oh, some of that she agrees with you, but no, Shazam. I thought Shazam was all right. It was better than Aquaman in my opinion.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's actually gotten really good reviews. I've been really surprised by that.
I mean, they took a much lighter tone, of course, and like the first half I thought was okay, but the second half of the movie, really won me over. So
I think we'll probably rent it. I think, you know, honestly, the next thing that I'm going to go see in the theater, even though I'm not going to be around for the podcast, is Endgame.
Oh yeah, I think everyone's going to see that in the theater.
I'm flying out to Seattle the next week, so it's going to be like just straight on for 2 weeks, starting with Endgame, but that's a good way to start it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that might make some money.
Just a little.
Yeah.
It would set up the world nicely for the Mark Spectors of the world to get their piece, too.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So would you like to see Ross Marquand play this character? Or
I love Ross Marquand, and he's so talented. I think he could do a great job bringing this character to life. And I think the fact that he knows the character and has some investment in the character makes a difference too.
Yeah, because he must be because he was the Red Skull in Infinity War.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder, I would imagine we're going to see the Red Skull again in Endgame.
Maybe. I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. No, and Marquand is so good at imitations and kind of doing different things with his persona that I think he could really easily pull off the multiple personalities of this character.
Oh yeah.
That would be really fun to see.
It'd be interesting to see him play like a grim, dark character, because even though he's on Walking Dead and that's kind of dark, he's still like a nice guy there.
Yeah. He's totally the hopeful guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just it'd be funny just to hear him do the like a Batman voice, be like, I'm Moon Knight. All right, so do you have anything else on this?
No, I think I would say, even for people like me who don't read tons of comic books, if you're looking for something that's a good read, this is definitely a worthwhile book to pick up.
Would you give this an A?
I would give it an A. I would give it a 4.
I was going to say, I'm sorry. We'll do Biters out of 5.
I would give it a 4.79 out of 5 moon-shaped discs.
Oh. I thought you were going to say, yeah, I'm probably pretty close. I'd probably give this like 4.79. I'm probably close to that. Probably like 4.8, scalped enemy here.
Defaced enemies.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for taking the time. I heard you're reading this. I'm like, we have to talk about this.
Yeah, and we may have to talk about Volume 2.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you get it, yeah, let me know. When you read it, when you have some time. Yeah, we will have to do this again.
Very cool. And it sounds like you're going to have to do Phil's Comic Book Corner.
I know. I might just, like I said, I might have to do this like once a month or something.
Yeah.
Phil's Comics Corner. I've heard her do that since, and I swear that she just hit the right pitch in that clip. That's like the best one.
Phil's Comics Corner.
She's the funny sister. She's the drinking sister. She's also the funny sister.
You're the reader. You're the intellectual. She's the funny drunk.
Yeah, I'm probably the more introspective housewife. Yeah.
You're the one sitting in the corner reading the book. She's the one dancing on the table.
That's exactly right.
All right. So, do you have it in front of you? Where can people find Biters on social media and everything?
So probably the best place to find us is on Facebook. You can search for Biters on Facebook. I try to post there a couple of times a week. We do have a Twitter handle. We're not very good at tweeting, so definitely look us up on Facebook. You can also send email to us via Southgate Media. Rob will get the email forwarded to us. And you can listen to us on any podcast platform.
It's a very good show, and they mention me quite often. So
we
please tune in.
You're one of our number one fans.
I know, I am. I don't miss an episode.
Yay! You know what? I don't go back and listen to everything that I've podcasted, but I really enjoy going back and listening to Biters because I love my sister so much. She's so much fun.
I try to listen to everything I do just because, not ego, but I'm just like quality control. I just like to hear what everyone's hearing, and I'm just like, it's not even everyone else. It's just me. I'm just like, ooh, I could have did that. I could have said that better,
or oh man, I dropped that bomb and I should have edited it out.
Oh yeah, because we both have crazy drunks on our shows. Yeah,
right.
Or I'm just like, sometimes like I don't get somebody's point, and I'll like listen back and be like, oh, that's what Lilith was trying to say, or that's what Charlie was trying to say.
I gotta tell you, I was trying to listen to the Shazam podcast. Tyler needs to speak up.
Oh, I think he was on his phone. He was having trouble with his computer. That's what it was. Yeah.
Well, I am the first to know what trouble with computers are. God, It's always a struggle to get on Hangouts for some reason.
Yeah, but that was a good episode. Those two were going at it.
I just need to listen to it when I can focus and not when I'm driving.
Oh, I love I have like a half-hour drive to work every day, so
Me too.
I always listen in the car. Sometimes the biters.
Me too.
There's some mornings you and Marnell kept me awake at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Talking about drinking.
Yes. All right, so send your thoughts on this. Tell me you want to see Dianne again. Capes and Lunatics at gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter at Capes Lunatics, Instagram, and the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And it's still a work in progress, but like we announced on episode 100, go now to capesandlunatics.org. Miss Lil Hellfire set us up a website, one-stop shop for everything.
Woo! Right on.
She's the best. Oh, I'm so sad you're not going to join us for Endgame.
Me too. Crazy work, but I'm getting rid of that. So
yeah, I guess I'll get. I'm assuming we're going to get at least one sister.
I think so. I think you'll get the funnier sister.
Oh, I love you both. I'm not nearly as afraid of you.
It's because I'm not quite so razor thin, you know?
She's like a badger or something. She's small, but she's like dangerous.
She had to fight for it, being the youngest, you know?
Oh, yeah. All right. So, again, if you would like me to talk to guests from other podcasts about comics, let us know.
Definitely check out Moon Knight.
And until next time, take it one day at a time.
Day at a time.
Keep your faces.